Hey there guys, it's Joey and this is my video for experiencing Muin, the Ogum on the Celtic path, my witchy vlog for the week. This video is possibly going to be a little bit shorter than some of the others because a lot of the work I've been doing this week has actually already been shared on the channel, which is some of the purification work, which was maybe half the bulk of the lessons of this rune, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. We've gone over the meanings in the original video, but I'm going to sort of touch on the fact that this Ogum is about fermentation, the symbolism of the soul transformation, as well as bringing goals to fruition. At the beginning of this week, I had some very definite messages that were necessary for me before the transforming of this week could go forth. I actually wrote them and shared them on Facebook. And when people say cruel things, give them up to the darkness, for they are no use to you. Let them be taken, destroyed and recycled for more than they are worth. The words and deeds of those who hate will only come back to origin. Let them fall from you because they are meaningless. And whilst I think on it, be careful of your own words. Think about what you are saying, because once you have said them, words cannot be taken back. You can say sorry, but the damage is done. And we know what power words have. We know. Joanne Morris, 2013. The following came from Everything Under the Moon by Kat, and this basically is my week in a poem, if you like. Ravens cry, mysterious night, tales and secret of old days, the spirit of Avalon will guide you if you follow the lady's way. What trunk you knew, what spell you cast, with the magic power of three, let always be love and light in your heart. There are a lot of pictures, when I very first picked up this rune, of blackberries. Pictures on Facebook. I had memories of Bramley Hedge, which is something I used to love as a child, and it's very nature-based, very kind of pagan-y in early roots of my childhood, where, you know, mice live in trees and they have winter festivals and harvest festivals and all sorts. And I felt very strongly, right from the get-go, that blackberries were going to be more potent to me than grapes. Both have been associated with the Ogum itself, and both have been present in England, as it was introduced to the British Isles in the Bronze Age, but modern scholars tend to think it may well have been blackberry, as this was used to make the sacred drink of the Druids, mead, or Celts, which was used in spiritual ritual. And seeing as how spiritual this week has been for me, she says, moving about and having a wiggle, it makes sense that blackberry leaf was therefore far more prevalent in my magical workings this week. It's associated with Bridget, goddess of healing, wealth and protection, who is also associated with snakes, carnelian and amethyst. Snakes was very prevalent in last week, the week before. Carnelian is one of my birthstones and one of my stones I work with very closely when I'm working with Kitsune energy, and amethyst everybody knows. If you don't know, I'm obsessed. It's flat out. I love amethyst. I was also very drawn to lepidolite this week, which was for stabilising mood swings, treating feelings of depression. Light, pink and purple are seeming so very relevant, but the traditional sort of light pink colour magic meaning of love doesn't really cover it. Perhaps self-love is what I wrote, and healing within realms of pink self-love and pink Himalayan salt, which I frequently use in my bath mixtures for healing and purification and things like that. When I came across healing and emotional matters being a pink correspondence for fairy magic, I was thinking, well, perhaps that's where it's going to go, because Morrigan and Morgan Le Fay obviously have fey aspects to them, and came across the idea of Cred or Creed, who is the fairy queen goddess associated with Dana's mountains, the Paps of Anu being the maiden of the Morrigan. She rules over love magic, searching for a perfect mate, keeping secrets and spirit contact. In Irish mythology, the goddess Creed placed Art, son of Con, in a crystal chamber where the healing rays of the sun and moon converged into one. Remember the name Art. After a month, he had acquired a new strength and energy, enabling him to face the worst of perils. The myth shows the great power the ancients attributed to the power of healing and energy balancing through the use of crystals. The best week for doing this work is on a full moon, and at that point in the diary, tomorrow was the full moon. I'd also been very drawn to pink agate and rose opal and strawberry quartz, helping to move past resentment and grudges in pink agate, rose opal to realise your potential, as well as being a great stone for healing, and strawberry quartz helping selfless action. I enjoyed the following quote from Wild Woman Sisterhood. I believe that a woman who loves herself is a powerful, passionate, attractive force, and I commit from this day forward to loving myself deeply and extravagantly. I also set up a very strong protection grid at this point, as well as creating a new protection bag. I feel that I am going to start a daily spell or ritual of purification from the night of the full moon until Yule, when we go inward and seek the light. To dispel the darkness. Perhaps I will make some Morrigan bath salts. A full moon for unfolding destiny. And I also noticed this week there had been a lot of references to Ursa Major, the Great Bear, the endless wheel of birth and death and rebirth. That quote is from the Mists of Avalon book, which I've been reading again this week. Comes back to the Celtic tie, to the King Arthur stories, as Arthur appears to derive from the Celtic word art, meaning bear. We mentioned the art earlier. The bear was seen as being a fan of honey, which the Celts made their sacred drink of mead from. Going back to the sacred mead. The plough aspect of Ursa Major and the opening up of fertilization of Mother Earth, as connected to principles of sovereignty, are in the quest of the Celtic mysteries. All this ties back to the Morrigan through sovereignty and to Avalon myths, which I have been connected to in leaps and bounds again this week. I engaged even further with Avalon energies over Yule. With the healing waters of Avalon, I created myself some more of, and honouring the 9 priestesses of Avalon, the 9 faces of Morrigan. This Yule. And then the spell work, which you will see in the other video, is written down in here. As we will conclude the diary, we're going to talk a little bit about everything, because obviously with my poetry for this rune, this is my intellectual property. I created it from scratch. All rights reserved. Joanne Morris, 2013. I am when the sweet is fine, the change that comes throughout time. Drink deep of me when you have need to harvest that which once was seed, for I inspire your every goal with transformation of your soul. Okie dokie. So we have a number of ties in this week. There's been a heavy theme of purification this week, which I have shared most of with the purification videos this week. I don't think we really need to discuss that at any more length because the videos are there, and it is important when seeking to transform yourself into someone new, to become who you are meant to be, to keep on down that path, to make sure that you're purifying out everything which is detrimental to your path. And that's whether it's within yourself, your own negative vibes, your own negative feelings about something, your own flaws that you wish to tackle, because nothing, flaws can't be tackled in a day or even a week. But you can purify yourself on every level to try and help you progress forward. So, if you're very stuck in a negative funk, like I said in one of my purification videos, that can really stop you from moving forward. So to purify yourself in a number of ways, such as the ones I've mentioned this week, and there are of course others, is really necessary, I think. Secondly, there has been a huge crystal presence this week, and it's been in the mythology, as we mentioned. Is it the art? The goddess created, placed Art, son of King Khan, in a crystal chamber where the healing rays of the sun and the moon converged into one. Now bear in mind the week that we have had this week. We had the full moon followed by Yule. We had the moon energies at their peak, followed by the advent, the coming back, the welcoming back of the light half of the year, the birth of the sun god, the beginning of the light half of the year to grow from that point. So those energies have been around, and therefore the crystals have sort of been singing their merry little song, like use this, use this, use this, use this to heal. And these crystals in particular, these pinks and purples, these very pale pinks and purples, have been very, very present. And obviously the pinks and the purples tie into colours of blackberries and different colours of wine, and mead, which you can tie back to the rune. So the colour magic and the crystals have been there very much so. I may well still do a crystal cave meditation using these crystals and share that. Obviously it's been Yule and leading up to Xmas, and that means family time and things like that, and so I've been more busy than I would be normally, perhaps. I'm a Virgo, there's no guarantees. So I might still do that, but the whole crystals for healing energy and transformation of negative to positive, and pushing through the concerns of health and getting on track, have been very prevalent this week. And finally, Avalon. Avalon has been chasing me around this week, and I am honoured and blessed to have been engaging with Avalon energies. I've been starting to reread The Mists of Avalon, which is a fantastic book. If you haven't read the book, there is a movie, but if you haven't read the book, read the book. And that book really does touch me, because it sort of puts you in a state of reverence, and you don't even realise until you put the book down and you feel that you've engaged in a sort of spiritual activity just by reading the story, and it's incredibly moving. Then I had my 9 Priestesses of Avalon spiral from Gort, which I have continued into this week. The 9 Morgans was the very last thing I touched on last week with Ivy and continued into this week, and I have noticed for me the Oghams have brought about much more of a synchronized journey, that one thing leads into another. Things don't stop being a lesson with the moving on from one Ogham to another. So Ivy's lessons grew into this week's lessons with Muin. I created some more of my Healing Waters of Avalon oil, and I had some in my bath for Yule, and I had some really strong meditative visualizations of that. I'm not actually going to share a lot of that because a lot of that is very personal stuff, and I haven't actually done the Soul Transform spell yet for myself, so I can't really report back on that, and part of me thinks that maybe I shouldn't, because if I get glimpses into, you know, this is where you're going to go, this is who you're going to be, this is how to do it, then those things I should incorporate into myself and transform into whom I'm going to be, and then once I'm getting there and showing the world who I am, then that is showing the world, rather than this is the results of the spell. I've got a feeling bear energy might continue into next week, because each week something gets sort of hinted at, which ties into the lesson of each rune, and then gets more brought out next week. I haven't chosen next week's rune, I'm not going to until I've done the spell. That may be a day or two late because of Xmas. We're now on the 23rd, 24th. I might be quite busy, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. And yeah, so I think we've covered everything. Yeah, I think that will do for this week's rune. I've found it incredibly spiritual, it's been incredibly moving, it's been beautiful. Many blessings.